and reviews on our experience renting a CANADREAM Super Camper. So we're gonna have a list of questions here that we want to answer because those were some questions we thought of when we rented our RV. Hi guys, and welcome to our Q&A.
Welcome.
My name's Diana.
I'm Wes.
And we are from My Big Trips.
Check us out.
This is our Q&A about a Super Camper RV from CANADREAM. We rented it for 28 days and we went on a trip across Canada from Toronto to Vancouver round trip.
We just dropped it off and we left the CANADREAM location in Toronto, which is really in Brampton.
They call everything Toronto.
They call everything Toronto when you're in the Toronto area.
GTA.
In the GTA. Grand Theft Auto. No, Greater Toronto area.
So welcome to our Q&A. Here we have a set of questions we're going to be answering that we asked ourselves when we were renting our RV. So we think that it's good feedback when you get to hear from actual experiences.
Yes, so if you're considering renting an RV, watch our video. You will see and hear all the questions you may have, and you will have them answered, and you will actually also get to see little inside information, or what do you call that? You will have tips and tricks and need to knows. And we also have a video on the RVs that they have, some of the smaller ones and the bigger ones. The one we rented was one of the lower step ups, but the reason we did that was fuel consumption is better on a smaller RV. So there's a lot of things to consider. Just watch our video, and if you do have questions, let us know, message us, like our videos, subscribe, etc. Hit the notification bell so you get up-to-date videos. We travel all the time, all over the world, and yeah.
Yes, so we did this trip with 2 kids and 2 dogs. 2 kids and 2 dogs. How did you come up with the idea to rent an RV?
We actually had the idea ready for years that we would love to just go across Canada in an RV. And we used to really love camping, but now with kids and dogs, it's a little trickier, I think. So we thought RV would be perfect.
Yes, so we thought it'd be, and now given the time with COVID-19, we decided we can't travel. We love traveling. We travel every year. Actually, earlier this year we were in Mexico for 3 weeks, and last year we were in Panama and Europe. So we love traveling, and just staying at home didn't cut it for us. So we said, let's plan our next trip, and it happened to be this RV trip. How was it to travel during COVID-19?
Overall, very easy. We had no problems picking up the RV, and then basically going all across Canada. It was fine. Only thing, I guess they had limitations sometimes on how many people would be in a laundry room, like only one person at a time, or 2 people, whatever, depending on the size. Or they had a limitation of how many people could be in the pool, but there was still quite a lot of people. Maybe they allowed at least 10 people in that small pool at a time. So, and they had several pools. So we had honestly, I had barely any problems at all, except for when we came back to Ontario.
Yeah.
Ontario seems to be the most strict, but of course it does have the most people.
Yes.
So having more people means you need to have a bit more rules, I think. Yeah, I guess overall it was not bad. It's just, yeah, we wanted to go to a lake the day before, or the day we were coming back home. We wanted to stop somewhere to swim, and it was a Saturday. It was super hot, and the parks were full. They had limits on how many people they would allow, I think, and security or the park people were telling us we were not allowed to come in. So it was too bad, but everything worked out always.
Yeah, so as we went out of Ontario and headed after Manitoba and Saskatchewan, we got to Alberta and BC. Most things were open and normal. You could dine in, kids could play at the playgrounds, where we here in Ontario, we weren't able to up until we got back. That's when things started to reopen in Stage 3. How is it to travel, drive, sleep, and live in an RV?
Honestly, honestly, it was awesome. Like, we enjoyed everything. The first 1 hour of driving, I think I was very nervous because there's a lot of transport trucks and cars zooming by, and I was trying to go only around the speed limit or a tiny bit over. Like here in Ontario, everybody drives at least 20 or 30 kilometers over the speed limit on the highway, so I was trying to stick very close to the speed limit, and it was a little nervous the first 100 to 200 kilometers, but then after that I had no problem. Right now on the way back I was able to drive normal speed and kind of stay with the flow of traffic, and it was great. Sleeping in the RV, the first night I didn't sleep the greatest, but it's like you gotta get used to a new place basically. The bed was super comfortable overall. We at home have a king size bed, and this was only queen or a double, or what is it? Probably queen.
I think it was a queen because it was wider than a double.
And what else? What else was a part of the question? Living in it. Well, great. Like overall, cooking and cleaning, everything was good. Yeah, they had air conditioning. That's what we love, because
And heating.
Because we were in the mountains, you need heat. And when you're in some other areas, it could, like, we stayed in the mountains in Golden, and it was freezing cold. It was like 10 to 15 degrees. I guess it wasn't freezing.
It was like 5 degrees at night.
That's
though.
Celsius.
Yeah.
At night, yeah, just a little above zero. And the next day we went to Kamloops. It was almost like 30 degrees. And we needed air conditioning. I actually ended up getting a bit overheated, so I started to feel nauseous. So, but I think it was being tired too from the long drive. So, yeah.
I enjoyed that RV. It was just awesome having everything that you needed just with you, wherever you went. If the kids needed to go to the bathroom, if you needed to cook something, if you wanted to drive somewhere, if you wanted to sleep for the night, you just had everything with you. It's like, oh, we're at the beach. Did I forget something? It doesn't matter. It's in the RV, so you just go and grab it.
Yeah. It's like bringing your whole house with you, all your stuff.
So, how much was the rental for the RV for total days?
I think an average was 1,500 Canadian per week.
Yeah, total we paid about 7,200. That included taxes, payment for our dogs, for
And that's
our kids.
4 weeks. And most people only go 1 week somewhere.
Yeah.
So we got that at 72 well, actually it's another 3,500 I think for gas. So
Oh, that was the next question.
so over 10,000, but if you cut that in 4, probably only 2,500. It's an awesome experience.
And it was for 28 days rental, and we were on the road for 26 days, 27 days, around that. Because the first day we got it, we brought it home, and then we got home 2 days before we had to turn it in. How much did we spend on gas?
I'm estimating anywhere from 3,000 to 3,500. It really depended on price. I did our first estimate on $1 per liter, but in parts of Ontario and parts of Thunder Bay, the gas was about $1.30. So that added 30 cents per liter to our budget. I mean, we didn't really have a budget, but we kind of like to estimate our prices and costs so that we have an idea of what we're going to be spending. And some areas had like 110, 120, which is actually higher than I expected, because before we went on the trip, the gas was only about 90 cents. And now that we're back, it's around $1, $1.05 here, even in Ontario as well. So gas price went up a little, and if you're pumping 150 liters and it's 20 cents extra, well, you do the math, you're paying like 20, 30, maybe even $40 more per tank than what you expected. So each time, and we're pumping that thing almost every day. I did try to only keep it about half a tank to full. Sometimes a quarter tank left and I'd fill it, but couple times we were getting a little nervous, like, oh, is there going to be a gas station or
For the long drives.
yeah, because sometimes you would have a bunch in a row and you're like, well, I'm still full or I'm still 3/4 full, I don't need to get any gas yet, but then you might not see anything until your tank is almost empty. So I did bring an extra jerry can of 20 liters of gas just as an emergency, and I actually only used it one time, I believe, and it wasn't really 100% necessary, but I did it anyway because we were running somewhat low and we wanted to run a generator or something. I don't remember.
So the generator runs on gas, so you can have it on when you're driving. We learned that as we
Yes,
went.
you can have it on while driving, but you have to have at least 1/4 of a tank or it'll stop. So it's almost like the hose
Like a breaker.
goes directly into the fuel tank of the truck. It'll know, I guess, when you have only 1/4 tank left. It won't run the generator anymore.
Yeah, at CANADREAM, what they charge is $10 a day to use per hour.
No, they just
It's a day, but then if you pass 10 days, it's $100 no matter how many days or hours you use it.
you're gonna probably use it unless you're planning to just go to
RV campsites,
campsite. If you're on the road a lot, we chose a few times not to stay at the campsite, and we just parked at a Walmart or a hardware store or something, and then we ran a generator at night. We estimated it to be about 1 to 1.2 liters per hour that the generator was using based on one night we ran it, and I literally filled up before parking it, and then the next day I just filled it up just to see how much the generator would use, and it was only using about I would say at the very most 1.5 liters of gas per hour. So if you're running for 10 hours, it's 15 liters. So it's only going to cost you like $15 to $20 on gas. Yeah.
It is limited. You can only run the AC and use 3 of
The AC on low.
and 3 of the outlets. More than that, you're gonna shut it
Or
off.
if you want to use the microwave, you have to turn the air conditioner off, and then you switch back and forth like that if you want.
So how much was it to stay at RV campsites?
Most of them are about $40 to $45 per night. They do have weekly deals, they do have monthly deals, but if you're just traveling the way we are, we're just staying nightly or 2 or 3 nights at the most. However, in BC, the campsites by Whistler, Vancouver area, they're like $75 per night. Still not bad because we had full service sites, which means you get sanitation dumping. You can have, we had electric and we had water hookup. So you have everything right there. We did want to take a drive around every single day anyways, so we had to connect and disconnect every time we came and went, but some people will just leave everything connected and enjoy the trailer park or the RV sites, the campgrounds. So,
And some have fire pits. So and some of the RV or campsites, they do require fire permits for your fire pit, so you might have to get the permit bought at the site. They also, some have restrictions for the wood you buy, if it's only the one that they sell at the site, or you can bring your own. It just depends on each location. That can vary. And some don't allow fires at all because they're close to trees and because it's
or they have fire bans depending if it's very dry. They will have a ban. However, when we were traveling, it had been raining a lot, so everywhere
70% of your trip.
It was probably 2 out of 3 days we did have rain. It's kind of unusual for end of July or end of June and beginning of July,
but it kept our RV cool, because if it was hot as it was when we got back, it was way too hot to be inside of the RV.
It was having a tough time with the air conditioner on low, keeping it cool. I did have the air conditioner a few times on the medium level, and it was not shutting off the generator. So lower medium is possible.
How much for SANIDUMPS?
So So the sanitation dumping sites we did use quite a lot because especially on the way back of our trip, we didn't really stay much on campgrounds except for at Kakabeka Falls. So the camp or the sanitation dump sites were either free because we checked on Google. You just type in SANIDUMPS and then the city that you're in, and it will actually show you all the locations where you can either dump it for free or you have to be a guest at a park. But a lot of the campgrounds will allow you to dump it for either $5 or $20. So it's a big difference in price. Most of them are like $5 or $6, and then some will just charge $20. So and then others are free. Like we just looked for the free ones a couple times, and I think at least 2 or 3 times we did it for free, and then other times we just paid $5 or $6. I didn't want to pay the ones that were $20 who didn't show up at a random one and it said, oh, it's $20. So I decided to just go somewhere else because we weren't full, tanks weren't full, and I thought, you know, if it's here, it's free, I'm going to use it, but they were charging $20, so I said goodbye.
For SANIDUMPS, you don't need to use them daily. It's only if you're gray, black, and
some have white water as well.
Water.
It's just
If they're full, that's when you empty them out.
Yeah. However, the gray water fills up quick because you're doing the dishes, you're washing your hands, you're showering. Especially when you shower and you need to wash your hair, then it fills up quite quickly. And we have 2 kids too, so it was 4 of us using the water, and it goes quick. We were on average probably emptying it out every 2 to 3 days, most of the time like 2 days. And then when we're at a campsite, we're like, okay, we're hooked up to water, we're hooked up with the tanks, I'm just gonna take a big shower, and then I would have to empty it like every day or a couple times, sometimes even twice a day. Like right after we shower, I'm like, okay, let me empty it out.
But even though some campsites you can leave everything connected, even the dumping as well, so it dumps and it fills as you're parked there.
Yeah.
And some of them we didn't do it because it did not have the hose connector or something to hold it into the ground. And then we also have our 1-year-old, and we didn't want her to play around with that because we were around the RV a lot.
Actually, at the one campsite, I'm like, let me put the hose in, because the RV came with these big plugs so you can shove it in the pipe so it holds it. But somehow the air vent was not working properly, so the hose, I opened it up, and because the air pressure, it popped the hose out and it was shooting the black water. Yeah, the black water on the ground. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Toilet water.
And I have to grab the hose and shove it back in and then wash the ground, like hose it down with water and everything. So and that only happened once there, and I think once at another place. Oh yeah, that one was free too. So the one in Chilliwack, I think, it was free at O'Connor's RV Park. So if you're ever driving to BC in Chilliwack, they do have a free one there.
What was the cost of maintenance for the RV?
Honestly, we didn't really do anything. I did fill up the windshield wiper fluid. I brought a bottle from home. I knew I would most likely need it. At some point, I'm like, the tank must be empty quite soon. I'm gonna just put a bottle in.
How did you manage with internet?
Overall,
we initially rented the travel tab recommended by CANADREAM. Actually, it's a new product they came out with 1 month before we rented our RV. We thought it'd be a cool idea because it's unlimited internet, only $20 a day or $14 or something like that. And we were like,
$20 a day.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
I don't know. They said something else on this board that they had because they had a promotion going on now that we returned it. But the problem was that I could not connect to that travel tab. I tried, I called CANADREAM, I called the actual travel tab company. It finally got through, but then it got blocked and the internet was not working. I could barely even go on my email or social media. Nothing was working. So we decided not to use it after gigabytes of internet on a monthly basis, and we rarely use the whole thing. So we managed with that, and I'm also uploading our YouTube videos through it. I managed to upload 3, so I think we did really good with internet.
I used it basically the same amount of internet as usual. I used it for the GPS every day, even Facebook and TikTok and Instagram, all that stuff. Like it was working. Most of the time, no problem. I think once or twice we were just in a location where there was barely any reception when we stayed overnight, so we had either bad service or it was like coming and going. But we did in advance save some TV shows.
We downloaded
on
them.
Netflix, Amazon, Prime, or whatever. I would recommend doing that. We
Don't use YouTube though.
YouTube takes a lot of data.
And Netflix.
We downloaded it in advance because we thought, the kids have to go to bed early, and if it's bad weather, we're just gonna watch a movie or something or a TV show before we go to bed. And we did that a few times. Most of the time, we would rather have a campfire, of course, because you're traveling and you're enjoying the outdoors. But we did have bad weather here and there, so we were just watching a show.
How was it to travel with kids and dogs?
It was great, actually. We did have to obviously clean the RV like 2 or 3 times a day. We had to sweep that thing out because it would get sandy. Because kids bring in dirt and sand, boots full of sand, and then dogs covered in sand, paws covered in sand. So
swimming at the lakes.
So we had to bring dog towels so that you can dry them.
Yeah, we recommend boots for the kids and water shoes because the lakes here in Canada are very rocky, and that way they can enjoy them and actually go in the water.
Yeah.
Most of them are.
Yeah. But overall, great. They all had their own space. We had a room basically in the back. They had the room in the front. We did have some cardboard that I think I mentioned in one of our other videos or earlier on in this video. The cardboard to block off the area so that they wouldn't be able to go on the chairs at night, so that they would look out the window and then bark at a random animal walking by or a person walking by.
How did you decide on locations?
We decided on locations based on where our final destination would be, and that was going to be Whistler. And we just basically just mapped out what's along the way, where does the GPS want, like what route does the GPS guide us, and then based on how much we want to drive in a day. Sometimes we chose to drive 5 hours per day, and then other times we would decide to sleep somewhere and stay somewhere for 2 nights. And then other times there were just like waterfalls, or like Kakabeka Falls is amazing. We wanted to stop there on the way back, and we wanted to stop in Drumheller. It was recommended to us that there was dinosaur bones there and all these awesome rock formations. So we based that on as a stop, and then just follow the routes in between. And of course, we wanted to go to Banff, the mountains in Jasper area. It's amazing. The Canadian Rocky Mountains are absolutely amazing. It's a must-see.
Well, that's the reason we planned the trip, because we wanted to initially go to Banff.
Vancouver. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to go to Banff, and we said, do we fly in or do we drive? And because of COVID, we decided to drive and just make a whole trip out of the whole thing and get to know Canada itself. We've been to so many other countries in Europe, South America, and Central America. We said, why not explore our own backyard? So that's why we did this trip. What not to do while RVing.